but I've been all right. And then today I had a headache and everything. And then, yeah, I just came from team court. I had to leave early in the middle of one of my kids' trials.
Oh,
It was just like, so
oh,
I'm
it was
like
bad.
rushing to get home.
Yeah,
Child.
I'm sorry. I hope you feel better.
I'm cool. I'm cool. It's been a jam packed day for
I
sure, and
believe
it's so
it.
typical of me to, be like, oh yeah, I can do this. Oh yeah, I'll do this. I'll do this.
No, that's what we do.
Like, why did I do
Yes,
that?
yes.
Why did I do that?
We can relate. Trust me, you are not alone.
My goodness.
You are not alone.
So,
But we appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Really appreciate it. Y'all been killing it. Y'all been so consistent, and I love it. I love consistency.
Don't make me cry, Angelica.
Right.
It's so sad. Look, you can have an idea, but it's so hard to stay consistent and keep the same vibe, the same energy, the same determination. So I just want to say, like, y'all are killing it. Congratulations for just maintaining and continuing to, push and push the purpose and fulfill the purpose that y'all doing. I'm sorry.
No, that was really sweet. We really appreciate that.
Flowers while I can.
Yeah, but that's what we about to do for you. That's why we got these rooms throughout the month of March, giving out flowers to women that really deserve it. We can say the same thing about you and everything that you're doing. We're gonna get into it real soon to give you your flowers about this next 30 to 40 minutes for sure. But we appreciate it. Really does mean a lot.
You're welcome. Anytime.
No, that's
Anytime.
fine.
So we're gonna wait a couple more minutes. And then we're gonna start. I think we can jump into it. We usually start our room with a little introduction, just a little bit about us, and then we'll get right into it. Give me 1 second.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Perfect. So thank you, because we're recording this. Thank you everyone who's tuning in now live and will be tuning in on the replay. My name is Shantae, and I am the co-founder of 21 Titles, which is a tech consultancy firm really aimed at broadening the horizons for student athletes and parents when it comes to sports. And we do that by presenting educational materials, resources, and tools.
Uh-oh. I think you cut out, Roxanne.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but technology is doing what it's supposed to do right now. But nonetheless,
A little janky. Going in and out.
can everyone hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, I'm so sorry. It's technology. Hold on 1 second.
It's probably the damn. What's up, y'all? We having technical difficulties with.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I don't know what happened. But again, my name is Shantae. I am the co-founder of 21 Titles, and we are a tech consultancy firm that's aimed on broadening the horizons of student athletes and parents and coaches by providing them with resources and tools in the realm of NIL, the law, health and wellness, tech, business, and entrepreneurship. And so for the month of March, we've been highlighting amazing women that are leading the way in sports, entrepreneurship, and tech for Women's History Month. And last week, we had the beautiful opportunity of speaking to Apollonia Thomas. And then this week, we have the amazing opportunity to speak to Angelica McDonald. I'll let Brittany do your introduction, Angelica, and then
okay.
Yes. So happy to have you, Angelica. I was kind of in the background when you and Shantae were going back and forth, but just very blessed to have you come speak to us and kind of just talk about your journey. So hopefully I give you a great introduction. Please fill any gaps that I have missed, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
So Angelica McDonald is a North Carolina-based attorney practicing in the areas of business, sports, and trademark law. She is a graduate of North Carolina Central University School of Law, Southwestern Law School, and holds her Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, Management, and Marketing from UNC Charlotte. She strives to see life from different perspectives and has a genuine concern for people, which is the catalyst to fulfilling her role and responsibilities as an attorney and sports agent. She is also the founder of Rise HBCU, one of a few collectives solely focusing on HBC student athletes. Rise HBCU creates and provides NIL opportunities for college athletes that attend historically Black colleges and universities. They help to negotiate contracts with brands, corporations, and charities, and they facilitate education and professional development programming to college students. Let's just say, ultimately, she wants to leave a positive footprint in the world and help others achieve their goals. Welcome, Angelica. We are definitely so glad to have you, and I'm definitely excited to have this conversation.
Thank you. I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Beautiful, beautiful. Shantae, do you want to kick off the questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, Angelica, can you tell us a little bit about? Well, let me just start off by saying you're multifaceted, right? Like how Brittany just mentioned, you're an attorney, which is beautiful. You're an attorney. You're also a co-founder. You're a sports agent. Can you tell us a little bit about what made you actually want to become not only an attorney but also a sports agent, and just dive a little deeper into just the industry of sports?
So it really started from me being an athlete growing up, and you know, I really in middle school we were like, when I say we, you know, me, my classmates, like I cheered, you know, played a little basketball, but my classmates were just stellar athletes. And when I say like stellar, we were winning all the conference championships back to back. They were just amazing athletes. And not only that, they had amazing coaches. So, you know, imagine like the hype of, you know, being able to witness your classmates just excel and succeed when it comes to sports. And not only that, like they were, you know, pushed to carry themselves in certain ways by their coaches. I remember, you know, this is my first time ever seeing, you know, guys wear, you know, dress up for game day. They had to dress up in ties and suits and, you know, dresses and, you know, dress pants and dress shirts and stuff. So like they were required to bring a certain vibe and essence to being a athlete. They couldn't just show up and be an athlete. They had to exude, you know, excellence. And as we transitioned from middle school to high school, I saw many of those very talented athletes go by the wayside, get into the wrong crowd, not having coaches that necessarily cared as much about them, not having the people to lead them in the right direction. And many of them, you know, didn't go on to continue to play sports, and if they did, a lot of them weren't able to go to that next level. And I remember when I was in the 10th grade, and I'm like a huge basketball fan. And I remember, thinking like, man, just seeing what was going on and thinking like, I really want to help, people like my classmates, like guide them and direct them and make sure they have what they need and the mentorship and the resources to get to the next level, but also to keep what they receive when they get to the next level. So that time I wanted to be a college basketball recruiter. I was big, like I'm a Carolina fan, but honestly, like I'm just a big college basketball fan. I remember my 10th grade in chemistry, my notebook had Battle of the Blues on it, and it literally had like the rosters for Duke and Carolina, literally. And I had such a passion for college basketball that I want to be a college basketball recruiter. So I, fast forward to my first year, my first semester in college, I remember talking to my godbrother's dad, rest in peace to him. And I used to always go over their house and watch games, like basketball games. And I remember I had came home, it was in November, come home, from college. And he was like, I really think you should be an agent. I'm like, an agent? Like, and he's talking to me about it. He said, I really think you have the passion for it, the personality for it, you care. I really think you should pursue that. And ever since then, I decided I want to be a sports agent. So really my inspiration is the people I grew up with. Of course, like I'm an athlete, but the desire to really want to help people. And I come from a small city in like mid-south North Carolina, and growing up like I'm from Hope County, Rayford, North Carolina, and growing up like it was us against everybody else, and our big rivals was in Fayetteville and Southern Pines, Richmond. I mean, the big schools, anywhere we went, we were considered the underdog, and it was us against everybody else. And many of us kind of like take that with us everywhere we go. Like when we went off to school, we just carry this pride about where we come from, but also understanding that people may very well underestimate us because we're from a small city. So knowing, where I come from, I just knew that I wanted to stand out from the pack, but I wanted to help. I really genuinely wanted to help. So that just carried me on to decide I want to go to law school. Went to law school, decided to get another degree in entertainment and media law. And then, transitioned into me practicing law. I started my own law firm in 2016. And, at that time, one of my mentors, she always used to tell me, she said, Angelica, it's fine for you to want to be an agent and want to work in the sports industry, but you need to learn how to be a really good attorney. So for a while, I focused on being a really good attorney, not forgetting what I really wanted to do, but understanding like I needed to build those skills. So I never really wanted to do litigation, but I ended up doing litigation. I mean, I was doing criminal personal injury, representing parents when they lose their kids, like when they are taken by DSS, traffic tickets. I mean, I've done a little bit of everything, domestic violence. So around 2018, my stepfather passed away, and he's like one of my biggest cheerleaders. And I remember having to sit with myself and realize that I just was not happy. I was doing what I could to keep the lights on, like to make money. But I wasn't doing what I was truly passionate about. Like stuff, I was doing stuff that I cared about, but not like that drove me every day. And it got to a point where I didn't even want to get out of bed sometimes and go to work. And, when you get to the point where you don't want to get out of bed to go to work, you have to start reevaluating some things. So I decided, like, I'm going to start transitioning into doing more sport, doing more entertainment, doing more business, and really transitioning out of the courtroom. So, like, I had that plan, and then the pandemic happened. Not that it slowed me down, but it definitely, we were all scrambling, trying to figure out what was going to happen and, how my law firm was going to survive. Thankfully, the courts didn't shut down, but, things definitely were a lot slower, and, funds were a lot slower. So, but I knew that I had to keep going. And, I mean, years go by, and it's just like, God, when is it going to happen? Like, I don't know, and I knew I had to carve my own niche or find my own niche within the sports industry because it's so small and it's really hard to get into. Like, I remember praying and saying, God, please send me a mentor. Please send me a mentor. And it just felt like I couldn't find one. I couldn't, even when it was opportunities, it seemed like it was going to become something. It never panned out to be anything. And it got really discouraging. And back in 2021, you know, the summer, started hearing, you know, some stuff about this case called the Austin case, and next thing you know, NIL became a thing. And not that NIL was not a thing before, you know, college athletes began to, regain the ability to monetize their name, image, and likeness, because I'm an intellectual property attorney, so I know that NIL is something we all have. But it was something that I actually been following since I was in law school with the Ed O'Bannon case. Actually worked on some stuff with like a law firm when I was in getting my LLM in Los Angeles, which is really interesting. So it was like a long time coming, but it was just, I think, a day that we never thought would come. So, you know, when NIL happened, it was just like, it felt like a light bulb went off, and it was just like, this is it. First of all, this is an area you already work in, but it's colliding with the sports industry. And I remember even back in 2015, I had been jotting down in a notebook that is like my sports notebook of ideas and workshops and webinars and different seminars that I wanted to do for young athletes.
Right.
And I didn't know how I was going to achieve it, like how I was going to execute, but I just kept that notebook. And I went back and looked at, I hadn't even looked at it for a while. And I went back and looked at it and thinking about NIL, and I'm like, man, this is some of the stuff that, you know, these college kids need to know about, because now we know it's just not about NIL, but it's about, you know, them becoming entrepreneurships, them, you know, making sure they protect their intellectual property, and, you know, that building a brand and learning how to build a brand, and social media and content creation. It's just so many different things that I advise my clients on a daily basis anyway. It felt like my opening, and it has been my opening. So while, you know, I was praying for God to give me a niche, or, you know, give me that thing that was going to open the door for me, I didn't think that NIL was going to be that blessing. So NIL has definitely turned out to be that blessing. I've been to, you know, create one of the only HBCU-focused NIL organizations in the country. About to, in June, going to put on one of the only, I don't know any other, I mean, there may have been others before, but one of the only HBCU focused conferences now. So I've been able to do a lot of things first that I didn't think I was going to be able to do. And it's so crazy because I haven't been scared. I just feel like it's like my moment, honestly. So it's like, I tweeted the other day, I said, this is all gas, no brake season.
That's
so
a fact.
that's really how I transitioned into the sports industry. It's been a long time coming, honestly. And I'm thankful that God really sustained my passion. But honestly, I know that it was within my heart. And I knew that I didn't know when it was going to happen. I just knew it was a matter of time. And that's how you know when you're really doing what you're supposed to do, because, or, you know, you have that true desire, because I just knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know when and how.
Yeah. Wow.
Angelica, first of all, you dropped a lot of gems. You dropped a lot of gems with everything you just said. But before we get into that, I know you said that you're heavily into basketball, so I have to ask, because, you know, it's March Madness. Are you still going for Duke or North Carolina? Because it's not looking...
Oh, so you try to be funny.
I just want to know.
First of all, I am not a Duke fan. You know, but it's and actually, you know, most people are like diehard. Like, you know what? Like, and back then, it was just like, I could appreciate just talent, you know, talent and skill. Now it's just like, but I'm very still much a Carolina fan. You know, I know we didn't get, like, this season was, it was a season. But Duke ain't in it either. So I'm rooting, I don't even know who I'm rooting for, because I did do a bracket this year, which is crazy. I've been following it, but I did do a bracket this year just because it felt weird not to have my team in it. So I guess I'm sitting by just to see who's gonna be able to show up, because and it's crazy because in the beginning of the season when these high ranked schools were getting beat by these major programs, and I said, oh, March Madness is gonna be bananas. Yeah. March Madness is gonna be real interesting, and has it not shown up to be very interesting?
Oh my goodness. I'm usually in the house screaming every other day. This Friday and Saturday is about to be crazy. The line of games are crazy. So yeah. I just wanted to know that before we just get into like what you were talking about earlier, which was you were mentioning how basically to stay down until it happens, like stay 10 toes down until what you really want comes into fruition. Continuing to put that work in, and be consistent. That's essentially what you were talking about. I wanted to ask, like, if you could go back in time and tell your younger self or give your younger self any advice, what would you say to her? And then also, what advice would you give to student athletes now?
Ooh, my younger self. First of all, you know a lot more than you think you do. Because I used to really suffer from imposter syndrome, probably up until maybe 2020. I started to come out of it. But I just always felt like, do I have enough to do what I really want to do? Whether it's knowledge, experience, do I have enough? So really believing in myself and understanding that I am enough, and that I don't have to have everything, because I'm a Christian believer, and I understand that even when I am weak, God is going to be strong for me. He's going to make up where I lack. So to remember that, and if I could give advice to athletes or young athletes now, it's to just do it. Try. Don't be, and I tell my athletes this now, don't allow yourself to be so much in your head that it stops you from doing something, or it stops you from making a move towards your goal. Because at the end of the day, the biggest hurdle a lot of times is getting started. And, there's so much that can come from just moving. And, there are no failures. They're just lessons. So either you're going to win or you're just going to learn a lesson. But you gotta get started, because not doing anything just keeps you paralyzed, and it's not going to help you. And honestly, you not getting started really is blocking other people from the blessings that you have to give, that God bestowed upon you. So you got to understand that your life is not just about you, it's about the other people that you are put on this earth to bless. So you got to do something.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. Ooh. I mean, you said it. No. I wish I could go back in time and tell myself that too. I just had this conversation with someone the other day about that. I feel like it got the imposter syndrome. Being a lawyer, going to law school, I feel like that heightens your imposter syndrome. Being around, other type A personalities and all that other stuff. So I can understand that and relate to that. Brittany, do you have a question? Because I'll keep going.
Nah, I'm over here just like, yo, Angelica's speaking to the choir right now.
We can't hear you, Brittany.
Can you hear me?
I can hear her. I can hear you.
Nah, Angelica, I just really appreciate.
I can't hear you.
Oh God, that's not good, Roxanne.
The technology, I can't hear. Brittany, are you asking a question?
Yeah, she's asking a question.
Okay, I'm gonna be quiet now.
No, I'm not asking a question. I just wanted to make a comment on what kind of like Angelica said. Just start, right? Like start the process. And for athletes to kind of get out of their heads. I think that's a profound statement, because a lot of us really don't know, what can happen when we just try. So thank you for saying that. And that's something that I tell younger student athletes to this day. It's like, you don't really know what you can do unless you just start. You have to start the journey in order to go down the path. So I just really wanted to say thank you for just expressing that.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity too. And and I've seen like my athletes. It's so funny because they be like, "Oh, Mrs. Jonathan," I know they be thinking I repeat myself so much. And I feel like honestly like a mama to them sometimes, or like an auntie or a big cousin, because I'm telling you, I repeat myself a lot. And sometimes I'm like, they didn't even listen to me.
Right.
They don't even listen to me.
Right.
But when something happens and I see that they get, the experience, like they finally start to make some headway, and they get the lesson or they get something from it that I expected from them to get. I already saw what they could do before they did it.
Right.
And when they get the result or they get, they get something from it, I'm looking back and I'm like, and they come and tell me, and I'm like, it's like I'm a proud mama because I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, I told you so. But then also, I'm just proud that they finally made a move.
Right.
And they've been able to get success from it. And I'm happy because I know that just gives them more confidence.
Right.
That just helps them want to make another move, make another move. So I've been able to see it in real time, and it's just been honestly really, really fulfilling.
No,
very fulfilling.
I love that. One other thing too that I wanted to kind of express. So I had an opportunity to like look down your just doing a little stalking and look down your your LinkedIn profile. So I realized that you were an intern for Felicia Hall Allen at one point. And she's also another person that I had the opportunity to meet when I was in college. She played for my coach while she was at Iowa. So how was that experience working for, we called her Feedy at the time.
Yeah.
Cause she's intense. Like she put us through like an organizational kind of like leadership workshop. And she was the first person that kind of was like, yo, B Ray, you got to step up. I don't care if you a freshman right now, but you got to put that to the side and you got to step up and say something because you the shy one, you got to go. So how was that experience for you working with Feedy? Because I know she's a very like just high intensity person.
She can be a little intense.
Right.
A little scary. Not scary. But she makes you want to show up and you don't want to disappoint her.
Right.
Because it's like she expects so much. The way she carries herself, you want to match that. You want to at least like step to her level. So it was a really great experience, and it's so crazy. I always tell my athletes, like, you never know who you will meet, because I actually learned about her or found out about her from my old job. So when I graduated from UNC Charlotte, I ended up working for them up until me going to law school. And right before, like the summer, right before I was supposed to go to law school, I was a technical analyst. Like I basically worked IT in the School of Business where I got my degree from. And one of the ladies, she was a new employee, and I was getting her set up with the computer and everything. And she was asking me about myself. And she said, I got somebody that I need to that I want you to connect with. She's actually in Charlotte. And I was like, okay, what's her name? She said Felicia Hall Allen. And I was like, okay, I don't know her. And I think they were connected through the links, if either the links or AKA. But she connected me with her. I think I emailed her initially, but I remember thinking, okay, I want to get an internship with her. So I ended up, following up with her that next semester, and my second semester, asking, did she need an intern? And I remember she had me me do like a marketing plan or something, and you know, this and the third. And then I did summer school my first session, and then I ended up going back to Charlotte and interning with her. And I actually stayed with my Neo, and I used to go from, my Neo lives in the university area, which is in like North Charlotte, and Felicia literally stayed like up the street from the state line, the South Carolina line, like literally up the street from Carowinds. So it was like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour drive every day. I went. And in her office, she had a home office. So we shared the office. So she had a desk in her office for her and a desk for her intern. Wow. And I just remember being so scared because, like, I'm sitting at the computer and she literally is like sitting there looking at me. So it's just like, it was so much. Like, I'm looking, like, I remember one day I yawned. And she was like, "Are you tired?" Oh, like, no, I'm not tired. You know, so it was just so funny. Like, she used to always keep me on my toes, but she gave me so much more perspective about like the different types of sports agents because she represents coaches, and really how she got into it is because people believed in her and knew that she had the experience. And she was like, "I don't even do this. I'm not even." She wasn't an agent. When people came to her wanting her to represent them, she wasn't even an agent. Wow. And you know, her story reminds me so much of mine, like even down to us taking the bar. And I remember when I did not pass the bar my first time by 1 point. And I remember getting in the news, and I was actually out in LA, and it just so happened that her and Mr. Johnny were in LA. And I remember emailing her and letting her know, and she was like, "Look, I'm in LA. Come to me." And I remember her talking to me, encouraging me. They took me out to dinner with her and some of the other people, like people from USC and UCLA. And she's just been an inspiration to me as what I can do and how far I can go. And she's an amazing speaker. And I just remember I want to be able to command the stage the way she does and how people listen to her. I want to be able to have that. And I remember the end of my internship, we went to, I think it's Brio in Charlotte. And we were sitting outside and I was just ready to get feedback from her. You know what I mean? Ready to just write down everything that she had to say about me. And she was just like, "I don't really have anything to say." And I was just like, "What?" You know, like, imagine you wanting to get feedback from your mentor and tell me what I need to work on. She said, you're going to be just fine. And I was just like, "That's all you got to say?" And she was just like, "Yeah, that's all I got to say." And we just sat there and talked. Like, it was just so crazy, but I feel like she really opened my eyes. And even to this day, I you know, always want to make her proud. And even when it comes to me organizing this conference that we're going to have in June, I think back to all, like, I think I volunteered for her conference that she puts on every year, which she'll be putting, I think her conference is in May, that she puts on every year. Because I think when I interned for her, she had been doing her conference maybe 1 or 2 years. It was still really, really new. And the experience that I was able to get behind the scenes, and I even talked to Mr. Johnny, her husband, about like having a conference one day, not really thinking I was actually maybe going to do it or how I was going to do it, but of being able to see how a conference is executed behind the scenes. And I mean, up early, going to sleep late, and you know, this, that, and the third. So she's been a really amazing person to have in my life. You know, I don't get to talk to her as much as I would love to, but when I do, she's always super encouraging, always has, you know, words of wisdom. When I passed my MBA or my MBPA agent exam, I told her, she was just like, of course. When I told her I was going to start it, she was like, about time. You know, like she saw me before I really saw me. Right, so she's just amazing, and you know, I can't say too many good things about Felicia.
That's fire. I love that. That sounds like Feedy. Like, it sounds like her. She used to come to our university and just bark on all of us, but like the way you said, like, she commands attention in a stage, I instantly felt that when she walked into the room. Like just her stature, you know, her husband too is a you know, Johnny, he's also another just great person. So I'm definitely thankful that you shared those insights with us. Thank you.
See, you don't know how basketball connects. Every sports is a connector. You don't know who knows who, like you mentioned. It is. So tell us a little bit about Rise HBCU. You know, you mentioned it earlier. And tell us your real thoughts about the NIL.
So Rise HBCU is a NIL collective that creates and provides name, image, and likeness opportunities for HBCU athletes. But not only that, but we also do education or educational career and professional development programming. And we just help. Our true desire is to help the HBCU athlete realize their potential, build their brand, but also prepare for life outside of sports. Whether, you know, they want to go pro or, you know, once they graduate and try to get into their career, we want to make sure that we set up our athletes to be prepared. Because, of course, the student athletes, they have so many responsibilities, they have so many obligations, and they don't get to experience college life the same way a normal college student would be able to.
About it.
So we wanted to make sure that we help them in those gaps and those things that they may not be able to experience firsthand through just, you know, being a normal college student because of the responsibilities they have. But it's been amazing. We launched in September. We literally, at the beginning of this month, like celebrated like six months of being launched. And it's been honestly like a true blessing. I feel like every day I wake up and I just want to do everything I can to get my kids deals, to, you know, be able to provide them more knowledge, education, more experience, being able to give them the treatment that they deserve. Because, you know, there's huge disparities when it comes to like HBCUs versus PWIs. And we know that, you know, HBCUs, you know, a lot of times we don't have the athletic departments don't have the bandwidth, don't have the resources, maybe not have the staff. So literally we saw the potential that NIL could bring, and we wanted to make sure that we were taking care of our kids. And when I say our kids, majority of student athletes that go to HBCUs are Black. I'm an HBCU grad, so of course, you know, I have such a love and a soft spot for HBCUs. So we as we saw that there was collectives popping up everywhere, we weren't seeing any collectives for HBCUs, and it was like, wait a minute, what's going on? So we were like, you know what, we're gonna launch a collective, and we did just that. NIL, honestly, I'm all for NIL. Again, it's a regular human right that we all have. Right. So it did not make sense to me that the NCAA would not allow college athletes to monetize their name, image, and likeness, but they'll allow schools to monetize student athletes' name, image, and likeness. It didn't make sense to me whatsoever. So I'm like, you know, I've always been for it because it is a true property right, and it is such an asset that historically we've been taken advantage of, and we don't get, you know, the true value and the worth out of utilizing our name and image and likeness. One, because they couldn't, but two, because a lot of times the lack of knowledge of what it means and how it operates and what you can do with it and how you can leverage it. So we want to make sure that we utilize the knowledge that we have and give that very knowledge pass that along to our HBCU athletes. We currently represent athletes at North Carolina Central University, but we also have helped athletes at other institutions as well. And, you know, we really wanted to make sure we built a really strong foundation with our alma mater, but also, like, we didn't want to, like, you know, jump the gun too much, because I see, like, representing, you know, athletes is a job. Like, I remember our goal was to have 25 athletes signed to us, and man, oh man, we decreased that goal very quickly. We decreased it to 10 because we realized what we wanted to do. We didn't have the capacity to do it with just me and my partner. So we were like, look, we want to establish a true foundation. We want to be able to give them our all. Of course, we're going to be testing things out, like kind of trial and error, and we want to see what works, what doesn't work, and we know that, again, you got to build a brand too. That brand recognition with the community and people that will hopefully support us one day. So it's been really cool, but I'm all for NIL. These people can say what they want, and it's funneling money to these kids, but these kids was already getting money behind the scenes anyway. And we can act like that won't happen, but it was.
Hello. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about
it. I mean, now it's just legal, and people are like, fair market value. Why should a kid get paid $100,000 just to make a tweet or whatever? And I'm like, but I mean, people get to name their price, so why can't athletes name theirs? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I mean, there's so many. You don't get to tell a celebrity, A-list celebrity, what they can charge or ask somebody to pay them for, utilizing their NIL. So, I mean, there is no market value or fair market value. There's nothing established to say what the rules should be or what the rules should be as far as how much an athlete should be paid. And I see,
Angelica.
NCAA, they stay trying to, keep that control, but they are grasping at straws at this point. Like, I feel like the gate is wide open, and it's going to stay wide open. I just really don't think it's going to be regulated like the NCAA wants. I think it's probably going to stay like a state regulated thing. And it's so really from their standpoint, I feel like they're going to be hard trying to intimidate from the compliance standpoint. Just like how they issued that violation with University of Miami basket. And I thought it was very interesting that their first violation was women's basketball. But I won't say very typical. I just wasn't surprised. I was just like, really, women's basketball, really? When Tech women's basketball is it's in the top 3, but you trying to tell me you couldn't find no football programs to investigate? Like, it was, But I digress. But I'm all for NIL. I'm all for them taking back control over their own assets, their own intellectual property, growing their brand and making this money to provide for themselves and their families. I mean, some of these kids, they don't have, outside of people think, they get these scholarships and they get their tuition paid for. Not all of these kids get full scholarships.
Exactly. Right.
And a good bit of these kids come from single parent homes, low income homes. They come from nothing. And people want to think that they get everything. And it's just not the case at all. So how do they provide for themselves? How do they make sure they eat? How do they make sure that they're taken care of? How do they make sure that their own family is taken care of while they're out here trying to pursue their dreams, get their education? That's a lot of pressure. Our kids are going during homecoming, when his cousin committed suicide during homecoming. Like, you know what I mean? We had a retreat earlier in the beginning of February. He got news that one of his best friends got shot. I mean, literally, like, it's just he's losing people left and right, and he's expected to perform still, So knowing that he had us lean on in a space, we made space for him to, express himself, to vent, to be his true authentic self, not feeling like he had to be hard, and he had to, he couldn't be a person and a human. It brought tears to my eyes. And that's not being just like one occasion. And you realize, like, dang, these kids really need us. They really need us. So that's when I say I wake up every day for my kids, they're like my babies. And I wake up for them, and I feel like I just get reminded every day that this is really what I'm meant to do. Even when it's hard, I get reminded that. So I know that was a long answer.
It was a great answer, and it further shows how much what you're doing is needed. A lot of black and brown communities, we come up in
in
socioeconomic places, and we deal with situations, and we're still, like you mentioned, we're expected to go out and perform. Brittany and I always joke about it because we both play college basketball, but getting the extra money to be able to take care of your responsibilities and then also feed your family is super important. And we always talk about on Sundays during our weekly IG lives how the NCAA, I'm gonna just say it, is nasty. Right, they're playing good cop instead of what they've been, which is bad cop, but or just turning an eye. But no, I say all like to say everything that you mentioned is super valid, and just giving flowers to what y'all doing at Rise HBCU, really just stepping up and being a home to student athletes, because that's needed. It's been needed, and having people that are supportive and really want to see you win and are able and willing to help you is what's missing. So I just wanted to add my 2 cents there. Brittany, did you have anything to say?
Nah, I'm just snapping my fingers back here. Everything Angelica's saying, because this is the stuff we talk about all the time, which is crazy, Angelica. So keep doing what you're doing. When can you talk a little bit about the summit that you're going to be having in June for the student athletes?
So the summit is it's called the HBCU Athlete Summit. It's going to be June 9th and 10th on the campus of the North Carolina Central University. We had already, and it's crazy because I didn't really know we were going to actually do this, like do it within year one. I thought maybe like the conference was going to be like maybe year 2 or 3. Right. But we realized that we knew we had capacity on like everyday one-on-one, right? But we knew we wanted to help as many HBCU athletes as possible. So it was like, okay, we can, work with the schools, but what if we did a conference? And having conversations with our athletes and even other people that work with athletes, they were like, they don't have a space. Like, there's space for Black athletes and stuff like that, but HBCU athletes exclusively, there is no space. So I was like, here we go again. There's a problem. We want to provide a solution. Mm-hmm. So we decided to do the conference, and I actually woke up in the middle of the night because we were trying to figure out what to name it. And we realized we are in like a Renaissance period. We've been in the Renaissance period since the death of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery. And, where people are focusing on Black people are, saying that they support us. And, it's just like we have this interesting opportunity and where we really can leverage and harness our power to make change. And we wanted to be able for the summit to serve as a mechanism and the catalyst for our student athletes to be able to move forward in the change that they want to see within themselves, but also within the world. Which is why we had the movement part on it. So it's just like we want them to come to the conference, learn, grow, network, but also use the things that they learn from the conference to move. And actually this year's theme is the movement is now, because we are in such a period. And if we miss it, I don't know when we're going to get it back. I don't know when we'll have this period again. And I don't want us to miss the train. So it's a 2-day event, super reasonably priced. We're actually I was having a meeting because I just found out today we'll be collaborating with NCCU Student Athlete Advisory Committee, which is basically kind of, I think I see it like as SGA for the student athletes, but they basically help give the feedback and they're the liaison for the student athletes between the schools and making sure they are getting input or being able to put their input as far as the student athlete experience is concerned. But we're collaborating with them, so they'll be able to help us. We're going to have quite a bit of sessions, and one we're actually going to have a student-led session where they'll be able to. We'll have students actually on the panel and just getting basically having them talk about their experience, air out their grievances. Like we want this conference to be such a vibe, like where they come, they feel comfortable to express themselves and learn, and not feel like they got to be something that they're not. And I'm just really excited. Yeah, like we're gonna have a good time. We're really gonna have a good time. I welcome everybody to go to our website. It's risehbcu.com, and if you want to go to you should be able to find the conference information on that homepage, or you can just go to risehbcu.com/HAMS, and it'll take you right to the conference website page. But we want to make sure this year we're focusing on the North Carolina HBCUs. We try to make sure we reach as many people as possible, and in getting the North Carolina, it felt like it was easier to get the North Carolina schools, so then next year we can open it up to everybody, all the HBCUs. But we're really, really excited. Some days I'm like, "Ooh, can we do this?" But I'm just so God continues to show us every day that we are blessed, and He's on our side, and He knows that we have this vision, and He is going to do everything He can to make sure that we reach the goal and we reach these kids.
That's fire. That's fire. You making it really, really, really enticing for us to make a road trip to North Carolina. You feel me?
Come on. Come on.
For real.
No, for sure. Well, we coming up on almost 8 o'clock, and we don't want to hold everybody in here for too long. But Angelica, first of all, want to give you the flowers because you breaking down your journey to get where you are now. First of all, it's super inspiring. Number one. Number two, last week we talked about how certain student athletes, some student athletes don't feel comfortable being vulnerable and talking about things that they're going through in their journey, but having people like you and other women and just other individuals talk about their journey freely and openly makes it really easy for student athletes to pick gems up, and even adults like myself. So we just want to give you your flowers and thank you for coming in here and speaking with us tonight, and just everything that you're doing. We're super excited. You already know how we feel about you and we support everything that y'all do. Y'all are the first that we've seen to do something like this, focus solely on HBCU. So again, when you get flowers there, Brittany, do you have anything else you want to say?
We just thank you for your service, Angelica. That's really all I got to say. I can't wait to re-listen back to this conversation and kind of just go through everything that you kind of said, because it was a lot of great information that we can actually share with some of the, the high school student athletes that we're engaging with right now. So again, thank you. Please continue to, grow and, just continue to make Rise HBCU, give them that brand awareness. We are 1,000% rooting for y'all on this end. So, again, thank you for your time today. And, we look forward to continuing our relationship and growing.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much for having me. Like, I love talking about not necessarily myself, but I love sharing my story. My mom always gets on me because she was like, you need to talk more about what you do and stuff like that. And I love these opportunities, like these organic, genuine opportunities for me to share and, give a little bit more perspective about what these kids are dealing with and who they are. And they just, a lot of times I come away feeling so full after talking with them. And I just want people to see what I see,
Right.
And I'm hoping and praying, that people get behind us and really really support and understand. We've had to do a lot of nurturing, and we're going to continue to do nurturing, because NIL is not like something that, just it's like people come across, like they're like, wait, what's that mean? A lot of times I had to say, oh, we help HBCU athletes get endorsement deals and promotion deals and marketing deals. You know what I mean? So we're constantly having to break it down, which is fine. We understand that our community is a little, we're different. We're so unique. But I feel like I'm not going to stop until God tells me to, of course. But I just want to keep pushing, and I feel like it's just such a vision that we have. And we're not going to stop until we see it come to pass. So Thank y'all for having me. Thank y'all for giving me your platform and sharing it and doing what y'all do, giving, especially this month, giving us ladies that a lot of times our voices are silenced and we don't get the appreciation and love that we deserve. So thank you so much for, having the vision and want to do that. And I definitely look forward to continuing to grow and learn from you guys. And again, y'all inspire me, because when I see y'all, keep going, I'm like, okay, I got to keep going too. You know what I mean? So thank y'all for, just serving as a motivation as well.
That's a fact. Big fact.
Of course. Thank you, Angelica. And before we let you go, is there anything that you want to plug? Please, everybody in this room, please follow Angelica, and then also follow Rise HBCU. If there's anything else you want to plug before I let you go, you can go ahead and do it now.
Follow me. I handle I am _Angelica ESQ. Follow Rise HBCU, and those handles are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Follow me. If you want to help contribute for this conference, whether you want to sponsor an athlete to attend the conference, you might want to, be a sponsor, do a giveaway, or, just donate. Please let me know. Send me a DM, an email, wherever you want to reach me. But yeah, and just, continue to pray for us and continue to put that positive energy out to the world, because I truly believe, you get back what you put, you put out there. So definitely follow me, and I'm just making sure, praying that, everybody continues to have an amazing week.
All right. Thank you, Angelica. And with that, we'll end the space. Hopefully everyone has a beautiful weekend.